Back to Nature, an Axe TV network production. And I am Pam Wining, your host today. And I have a wonderful guest here, Brenda Bower, who's going to be joining me. And we're going to be talking about tower gardening. And Brenda, I have to tell you, I've been so excited about having you come and visit, because I'm an elementary science teacher, and we've been experimenting with hydroponics. And we have had some challenges. So I've been really anxious to kind of, pick your brain a little bit and think about this tower gardening, because we want to write some grants and possibly put this right in there.
Great.
So Brenda, tell me, how did you get into this?
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So in 1998, I was working in corporate America, and a coworker said, I have this product called Juice Plus. It's fruits and vegetables in a capsule. This is a long story, but we'll get there, I promise. And so I started taking Juice Plus, and I partnered with that company back in 1998 as a wellness educator, which means that I get to share with people a simple tool to get more fruits and vegetables in their system.
Oh, that's
so
good.
Fast forward about 3 years ago, the Juice Plus company partnered with Tim Blank, who is an engineer and also a futurist, who developed Tower Garden as a way for real people in their homes to grow their own produce. I mean, it is locavore to the biggest degree, definitely, that you can grow your own produce. And so what we know is people who eat Juice Plus capsules and get fruits and vegetables in that way crave more real produce. And so it's just the perfect match of giving people a tool where they can grow their own, they know where it's come from. And so for my family, this is our third season. We just wrapped up our third season growing in Tower Garden. We started in 2012, and we just love it. My kids will go out on the back porch and pick a cucumber and eat it like an apple. And I wanted to say, wait, you should wipe off wait, my kid's eating a cucumber, of course, eat! So we just have one rule with Tower Garden at our house: you only pick what you plan to eat.
Oh,
so they are welcome to pick anything that they want to. There's no chemicals or pesticides on it ever. And so they can just go out there and serve themselves. They pick their veggies in the morning for their school lunch, and then they get to choose what they're having that day. It's really fun.
That is so neat. Yeah. I tell you. Now, you brought this in, you're riding a little rolly cart.
Yep.
And I kind of looked at it and thought, oh my gosh, what could you tell us, how you assemble this and how you do it and how long it takes?
Absolutely, sure. So this is the standard size of Tower Garden. At the base is a 20-gallon reservoir. Think of it like a big bowl. Inside is a small pump that is on a timer, 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. And the pump pumps water up through the center column here. Inside there's a small tube that runs all the way up, and then there's literally a shower cap, is this section up here, that makes the water trickle down past the roots that hang inside. So we call this aeroponic, A-E-R-O, meaning the roots are hanging in air. They're nourished by water, but they're also nourished by oxygen.
Wow.
And that is really Tim Blank's contribution that's different from hydroponic or aquaponic, where the roots are in water all the time.
Right.
So that these plants grow faster, about 30% faster than traditional organic dirt gardening. There was a study actually done, Tower Garden versus organic, at the University of Mississippi. 30% greater yield. And so more produce in a faster amount of time. At my house, what that looks like is a zucchini 5 weeks from seed.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Lettuce, spinach, kale, about 4 weeks from seed.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about in hydroponics, they encourage us to use, we call this a rock wool, but it has a plastic coating to directly get the roots down in the water. But now this is different. How is this different? How does that work?
So this is rock wool. Rock wool. If you have a little southern accent, that sounds like almost nothing. So it literally means spun lava, and it's just a sponge to hold the seed to keep it from washing away.
So it's not nutrients or anything?
It's not nutrients. Yes, it's completely inorganic. People say, well, it looks like insulation in a house, which is dangerous. We know that. No, we would not want that on our food. So this is just rock. It holds the seed, and then it goes into this net pot. I think of it like a Dixie cup that's been transferred into a colander, and that snaps right into the tower. And that's as simple as it is to plant and transplant into the tower. So we want everything to grow in a pyramid so that it's getting equal sunlight on all parts of the garden. So if I had a plant that got really big, or this got big and dwarfed my smaller plant, I could just pick these two up, transfer them out, and you can trim the roots back to 6 inches.
Oh.
So when you transplant,
Look at
you can see
that.
this has kind of a root ball inside of it. This morning when I pulled it out of my garden at home, I trimmed it off to 6 inches so that it's really easy for me to feed back into the tower. But these plants only need 6 inches of roots to sustain them. And so the maintenance is to trim the roots so they're not growing down into the pump. And pick and eat what you want, cut off anything that's brown, and refresh the water and mineral solution once a month.
Once a month. As hydroponics, I think they tell us 5 to 7 days.
Yeah.
And I kind of get concerned about that, but that's neat. And then you say you use tonic.
We
A
do.
tonic called Tower Tonic.
Tower Garden comes with an A and B part mineral solution. It's all, what am I trying to say?
Balance.
Naturally occurring earth elements. So
That's
it's magnesium, calcium, zinc. There are no chemicals in it.
Oh, that's good. No chemicals.
And in
That's
fact, the Tower Tonic is used by NASA in the space station in their hydroponics system. So I think that's a nice endorsement that really smart scientists have looked at the Tower Tonic and feel that it is going to give us the nutrients that we need for this to be a viable food source. Yeah.
Now, Brenda, do you normally start out with seed and put the seed in here, or do you germinate it first?
I start with seed in the Rockwell cubes in a tray.
In a tray, okay.
Either outside in the sunlight or in a grow light if it's spring plants that I'm getting ready to put outside. People can use seedlings. You can buy seedlings that have been started in Rockwell. There are several greenhouses around the United States that offer those. Or you can buy plants at your local home goods store and wash all the dirt off. It's a very strange thing to take a plant into the sink, and you want to wash all the dirt off the roots, and you want to wash the whole plant, because those plants have been exposed to maybe aphids or other pests. They may have a mold or a fungus, and this is a clean system. And so you wouldn't want to introduce any of those problems into the tower garden. But if you just wash the plant completely top to bottom, it works great, and I've done that.
Now, do you cut the roots back to 6 inches like you do? Yeah, so you should fit it in.
And then I would also cut this rock wool cube in half and open it up like a book and then wrap it around. And then you can take a twist tie or a rubber band just to hold it secure until it. And you also can trim the bottom of this. Actually, you would do that side so that the roots can come out. Come out of there. Come out of the basket.
Oh, that is great. And as we were setting this up, you had plugged it in. And it has a nice little trickle, little rivers. My husband was saying, oh, that could put him to sleep. He could just be relaxed, I don't think I'd want one of ours, maybe the living room, but you do have it in your garage.
I have it in my living room.
You have it in your living room?
We have a bonus room on the back of our house that's a playroom for my 6 and 8 year old, and it sits right there in front of the window all winter long, and we love it. The first night my husband said, I don't know if I can stand this thing, but it really is. It's a beautiful water ambiance, and it cycles 15 on, 15 off, and you just don't even hardly hear it after about a day. So it's very fun. I love it because I've wanted a water feature on my back patio for years, but I don't want to spend money for something that doesn't function and give something back. And this I absolutely love because it's a water feature I can eat off of that grows food for me.
We love the sound of it. It just has a wonderful sound to it. Now, you were saying that you can put your grow lights, they attach on here.
Yes.
Because we have to, in hydroponics, we have the big, lumens. But I was wondering about the lights fit on each of the braces there. Or how many lights would you put on?
4.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3,
so
4.
the standard tower garden system is a tower to hold 20 plants. You get the pH balance. If you have water that needs to be adjusted, it depends on if you're on well water or city water. Here in Springfield, I only adjust my water about once a year. We seem to have very good city water. I have clients who are out on a well, and they are always adjusting their pH. So that just is dependent on the water. It comes with the A and B part mineral solution, the Rockwell 5 different seeds, really everything you need to grow.
Love it.
Tomato cage and the wheels for the base are accessories that would be in addition to the standard size, as well as the lights. And then you also can get a frost blanket that is the right size to fit all the way down over the tower. So if you are somewhere where there's frost and you want to extend your growing season, and I know also people who grow in the desert will use that blanket as kind of a sun shield.
Oh, okay.
And give the tower a rest on those 120 degree days they get in the desert.
Yeah. Well, I kind of liked it that you are talking about you could grow it inside.
Yes.
Okay. And then you can also wheel it outside.
Yes.
Because we have in the classroom, I could have it inside, then I can have it outside. Now, what about the aphids and things like that? If I have it outside, I have that exposure, don't I?
Yeah.
So I have to kind of care.
So what I find is because these plants don't struggle for any food, I mean, they are in plant paradise,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's vacation for plants.
Yes.
They don't struggle with aphids, and I think there are enough natural predators outside that the plants being strong and the natural predators, I've never had any problem. The worst pest I've had on my tower garden was a cucumber beetle, looks like a yellow ladybug, and they were all over, swarming my cucumbers. And I thought, oh, do I need to wage war on them with Dawn soap, or I'm going to have to get educated about what to do with cucumber beetles? And then I realized I was still eating cucumbers. I was getting 4 to 6 cucumbers a week off of one net pot, 2 seeds, 2 plants, but 1 net pot. So I lived in perfect harmony with my cucumber beetles, and I decided they were cute, and we were totally fine. And I just didn't worry about it.
Didn't worry about it?
I've seen 1 tomato worm on a tomato plant, and I picked him off and squashed him promptly, and there weren't any more.
Yes.
So it's worked out really fine.
That is so cool.
Now, I did have problems with aphids when I brought my plants in this winter, and I think because there weren't any natural predators in my house, and they were there. So I've taken some plants out and gotten rid of really the aphids. They don't bother my kale, and they don't bother my pepper.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Well, I think we probably have to take a word for our sponsor, and thank you for holding there. Come right back. We'll be right back with you. This is Pam Wining, and we're back to Nature, and I have my guest here, Brenda Bower, and this is an Axe Television Network production, and we're so glad that you're here with us. We've been talking about this great-looking tower garden, and Brenda and I were talking while you were gone, and we were talking about the application of how your eating changes when you have a tower garden. Brenda?
Yeah, we were talking specifically about this frilly kale plant, and I was really afraid to try kale because I had heard how bitter it was, and I don't like to throw things away, so I wasn't going to buy something I didn't know I would eat.
Right.
And so when I got my tower garden, it was really one of the first things I was excited about planting and trying, because if I didn't like it, it hadn't cost me anything but a seed, which I got from my mother. So that worked out great. This kale is thick,
It is.
almost leathery, but in a really good way. So it's not like rabbit food, it's like people food. The taste is absolutely delicious. I put it in salads. I will do actually a full kale salad, but I started with about 50% kale and then a mix of lettuce and spinach off of my tower garden too. But I can bring this inside. I actually take my salad bowl right to my tower garden, put my lettuce in there. I can pick a pepper. We've got some red peppers almost ready to harvest on there. Sprinkle a little olive oil and balsamic. I like rosemary, and that's my salad, and it's totally delicious. But it's something I wouldn't have tried, and I appreciate that it's helped me to get more fruits and vegetables in every day. I can put it in smoothies. Kale chips are absolutely delicious. You can Pinterest or Google a recipe for kale chips. They're very simple and a nice snack to have around that's completely guilt-free for that salty, crunchy craving we get sometimes.
And like you were sharing with me, it's easy to burn them, so watch what you're doing.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yes. Don't multitask when you're doing the kale chips, for sure.
So it really has broadened your appetite for vegetables and your family. You have more people in your family eating vegetables. You were sharing that your children may pick off a cucumber and eat the cucumber as almost like a snack. That's just great for a family. Oh, great.
Yeah, cherry tomatoes are like God's fast food. They really are. You just walk up, it's already packaged, and you just take it and pop it in your mouth, bite-sized. It's really fun.
That is so cool. Yeah. We were talking about, I can see this in a home. We've talked about that. I'm really excited about it. But you were saying there's other applications for the tower garden other than just our families.
That's right. So again, this is the 20 plant size of tower garden, and you actually can go 2 sections. I don't know if they can see that on camera, but this is one section. So you could add 2 more, which would be 28 plants high.
Wow.
So for my family of 4, 20 plants feeds us pretty well, and you can find on the internet some planting guides of how to really make this a salad bar. But you plant what you like to eat. Bigger families may want to do 28 plants, or if they have more herbivores in their family than I do, they may need some more plants. There's also a family bundle that would be 3 towers of 28 high, and they're chained together, so you only need 2 timers instead of 3. And that's a great way to get tower gardens as well for a bigger family, or if there's a couple families who want to share, maybe grandparents and parents that are blessed to live close to each other, that works out great. Tower gardens also are used in restaurants. So I have a local restaurant here in Springfield that bought the trio of tower gardens for basil and cilantro specifically. They're a Peruvian restaurant, and so they do lots of basil and cilantro, but he was having to buy in large quantities to get the discount. But if you've ever bought basil, it turns black in 24 hours.
Oh yeah, I know that.
So he was throwing away more than what he was serving. He was very excited to be able to grow his own. And basil on a tower garden, the leaves will sometimes get almost the size of the palm of your hand. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they might have in the back of their restaurant, or they
Yes. He has a second floor with a lounge, and so he has some great 8-foot windows and added a couple of lights, and
he's in
growing
business
upstairs.
Great. Now you were talking about restaurants,
Yes.
but commercial enterprises. How can a commercial enterprise use a tower garden?
So there's another kind of side of the tower garden business that does commercial sized, and so that may be a larger restaurant that wants to have a full farm. There's a rooftop farm in New York City on top of a restaurant where chef goes up every morning, decides what's ready to be harvested, and indicates the daily specials based on what's available. There are whole food markets like in New Orleans where they have a tower garden farm on the roof, and they grow all the lettuce, spinach, kale. I don't know all of what they grow, and that's what they sell in their whole food market is produce that was picked right on the roof. So there's zero gas, fossil fuel footprint to produce that produce.
No washing out, don't have to worry about it. Fresh.
Yeah.
Oh, what a selling point. I never thought about that. I mean, I can just visualize all these tower gardens on top of the, commercial enterprise and the sun, and somebody go up there and harvest the food for the restaurant. Wow, that is such a
O'Hare
cool thing.
Airport in Chicago has a commercial-sized tower garden farm inside the airport. So if people are ever traveling through O'Hare Airport, be sure to check that out. And they are growing the produce for the restaurants inside the airport.
That is just fascinating.
Yeah, they serve that food there. Yeah.
Oh.
Most of the produce that we have in our grocery stores today averages about 2 weeks from the time it was picked. And from the minute it's picked, it begins to lose nutritional value. So there's nothing better than for my kids to just go and pick this kale and eat it.
Great.
And I get all the nutrients, and it hasn't begun to wilt or die, and totally delicious.
And there's just so many new recipes. This is one of the things, Brenda, I'd like to have you come back and visit with us about using this in recipes, quick recipes that use these fresh, vegetables, make it easy for families to enjoy it immediately.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And that's one of my other favorite applications, we talked about in education. Tower gardens are being used by educators across the United States. One of the most inspiring to me is the Bronx Green Machine in Bronx, New York. And they have brought that in as part of their curriculum. So these kids who had a 99% dropout rate, or 99% attendance rate, anyway, their trajectory was not looking fantastic. And they are learning how to grow their own food, and then they are sharing that with their families and taking home fresh produce, and they are learning how to cook so they have a marketable skill when they graduate from high school, and how to work in a restaurant. For schools in this area, we have 4 seasons in Missouri. The school gardens in the dirt are the opposite season of when kids are in school. So they're really limited on how much they can learn. But a teacher can have a tower garden like this in the classroom.
Yes.
And they can be growing and picking and harvesting and talking about biology of root systems. You and I were talking about indoor pollination of pepper plants. Kids can learn all those things right inside the classroom all year round, even in December and January. Yeah.
I agree with you on that. That is just, my kids have enjoyed it. The teachers enjoyed it a lot too.
Yes.
But I love this, and I think this is might even be better than what we're experimenting with in the classroom. I think I've just got to have one of these. Now, speaking of that, what is the cost of something like this?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you about the cost, but I also want to tell you what the maintenance is, because I think that's one of the other keys, especially for educators, is our teachers are very busy and they don't have time to maintain a garden all the time. So this tower garden, best case, you should check the water once a week for pH levels. But I said in the first break, I've only had to adjust my pH once each season, so I don't do that.
Wow.
I'm kind of a rebel. I don't follow rules, whatever. As long as I'm eating food, I'm very happy.
Mhm.
So my maintenance is once a month. I put a
Like
drain
that.
hose at the top. The pump pumps the water out for
Oh,
me.
yeah,
There
so
is
you don't
no
have to-
heavy lifting. There
Okay.
is no dumping of 20 gallons
Oh,
of
done
water.
Mhm.
So I love that. And then I put a hose in the base. I put 20 gallons of water in. I measure in my A and B part mineral solution, and it's good for the next month.
Well, I like
Now,
that.
when the temperature gets up over 85, it will use more than 20 gallons in a month, so I check it every 2 or 3 days when it gets really hot. And I may be adding up to 5 gallons every other day
And you
into
said,
it. That's still so much less than a dirt garden because
Oh.
there's no runoff here. This is a completely recycled water system, so I
Right.
love that piece. And then the other maintenance is I harvest things when they're ready to eat, and I cut off stuff when it turns brown. And that's it. That's all I have to do. I just love it.
rough living, rough
Yeah,
living.
I already
right?
have a job. I'm a
Right.
busy mom with 2 kids. I don't have time to be a full-time gardener, so I just love.
Right.
I've seen people who are self-proclaimed brown thumbs
Yeah.
with so much joy picking food that they grew, and it's absolutely fantastic.
So,
So cost of tower garden,
Yes.
again, this is the 20 plant size. It's $525.
now some people may go, oh my God, but tell us more
Yeah.
about that.
So one of the advantages is the Tower Garden Company will let us pay for that 1 month at a time over the first 12 months.
Nice.
And that works out to $45 a month.
Oh,
And
even
again,
for that,
I was
yeah.
picking lettuce, spinach, and kale 4 weeks from seed, and zucchini
Mhm.
5 weeks from seed.
Mhm.
It doesn't take long to save $45 a month,
Oh,
not a
no.
week, at the grocery
Mm.
store in lettuce, spinach, and kale.
No,
Yeah.
that's
So Tower Garden should never cost anybody anything. It should pay for itself.
Mm.
And then when you're figuring I was picking 4 to 6 cucumbers a week, I was gifting cucumbers to friends, family,
that's good.
people at church, taking it to, we have a local grocery store that gets it into our homeless food banks. What a
Oh,
privilege. It's a
what a
real
privilege.
joy to be able to
Blessing.
share food with other people.
blessing. That's
Yeah.
great. So I think that, I mean, that's affordable, and they have kind of
Really.
finance plan for you.
Yeah.
And when we were putting it together, it was very easy. I mean, I know we
Very
had your help
easy.
on it, you know, but,
Right.
but it was very easy.
Mhm.
And
It comes with a DVD instructional video.
that's
It
great.
comes with an instruction manual.
Mhm.
And then depending on who your Tower Garden representative is, for my customers, if they're close, I will go and set it up for them.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so that makes it really simple, and they're ready to go and get started when
Oh.
it arrives.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to rush home and answer the phones here. Tell us, how can we get a hold of you? How can they get this
Yes.
information, you know, like on a piece of paper, internet, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, there are Tower Garden representatives all over the United States. So go to the website, www.towergarden.com. That's TOWERGARDEN.com. TowerGarden.com. That easy. On
I can remember
Facebook, on Twitter, on Pinterest, on everything.
So you can order
Yes.
on the internet.
You can order on the internet, absolutely. There's online store.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I tell you, this time has just gone by so
It
fast.
has.
I have so enjoyed this, and want to thank you again, Brenda, for being with us. I know we're going to want to have you come back and talk about some recipes and part 2 tower gardening and that kind of thing.
Great.
But this is Pam Wining. This is Back to Nature, and this is Axe Television Network production. And we're just glad to have you, and hope you tune in again. Goodbye.